I hope that I don't overlap another video that I've made. But the thing is, I've made quite a few videos, and sometimes you lose track of what you made before. So if I overlap any information of this video with another video, I'm not doing it just to irk you guys. Oh, and one more announcement too. As of like May 12th, YouTube added extra advertisement mid-roll advertisements. I don't have any control over that, and I guess maybe I'm not smart enough to figure out how to control. I will try and look a little bit and make sure you guys aren't getting blasted too much with advertisements. I don't want that. I'm not here to make you guys miserable. I don't like watching, advertisements are important. They're paying, YouTube, and they're to be able to have the platform and all that stuff. It's important, but on the same token, getting blasted with them, a whole bunch of them. If it's ungainly, let me know, and I can really try and dive into how to maybe make it a little bit less ungainly. I don't really know, because I watch my own videos, but it may not give me the same commercials that they're giving you guys. So let me know if it's a burden, and I will see what I can do to lighten up the load a little bit. They did that automatically. I didn't have a say in it. So let me know if that's become an issue. I want to make a video really quick on the biggest mistakes of modifying heavy-duty trucks. And this is specifically for heavy-duty trucks, and it could probably overlap a little bit with heavier-duty half-ton and similar SUVs and half-ton trucks. I don't want to pretend that I know everything about smaller wheelers like Jeeps and Tacomas and things like that. My background has been a crap ton of off-roading, and then going and working all week with my truck or daily driving it or whatever I'm doing at that period of time. So I have a lot of experience in having my daily driver function as an off-road truck and trying to find a happy medium between the two. And I've had extreme success with that over the years. I have gone a lot of places with trucks, had a lot of fun, and in the same token, haven't really had a lot of failures that I've seen a lot of other people have because of keeping things a little bit more reasonable. That's what we're going to talk about right now. So we're going to start at the very beginning. So you get a truck. If it's a brand new truck, you're going to have OEM wheels on it. For instance, these OEM wheels. I want to warn you guys something. First of all, they're very expensive. Be very careful not to damage them. OEM wheels are way more expensive than aftermarket wheels. They come at a cost, and their cost is that they're extremely well made, they're extremely strong, and they're extremely uniform, and the coatings on them are way in excess of what you're getting from aftermarkets in most cases. So they're very good wheels. So don't be too quick to get rid of them unless you just hate the way they look. And I would caution one thing too. When buying a truck, make sure you like it in the first place. Starting off with something that, let's just say I hated Jeeps, right? And let's just say I wanted a pickup truck. I'm not going to go buy a 97 Jeep Grand Cherokee or a Jeep Cherokee and then turn it into a pickup truck. And then I also hate Jeeps along the way. Like, that's just doing things all backwards. Start with something that you like, that already tickles your fancy, that perhaps already has the drive line that's going to let you accomplish the goals that you're trying to figure out, and ideally might already look good, as in the wheels that are on it, because the wheels make or break the ride, guys. The wheels obviously you could just go get a set of wheels. It's going to totally change the feel of the truck, but that's an added cost you have to do right up front. And we're going to talk really quick of the downside of factory wheels. They're skinnier. Generally, factory wheels are going to run anywhere from on a single wheel truck, anywhere from 6.5 inches to 8 inches. They're kind of skinny. 285s. This is a 285 section tire. I have had extremely good luck putting them on all factory wheels of single wheel trucks. I don't have any experience putting them on dualies. I don't know anything about that. Would like to build a dually in the future for similar uses as this, like an off-road dually. But I've never done that before. On, say, 90 Chevys, 2000 Chevys, my 03 Dodge, I ran 285, 295, or 305, or 12.5 on the factory wheels for a really long time. And on my excursion, I have not run 12.5s on my stock wheels on my excursion back up there. I mostly ran 285s, 75R 16s. They are really great tires, being anywhere between 33 and 35 or 34. The metric size are going to give you like 33 to 34. That's a really good size to get you a lot of places. So I have talked a little bit about wheels, or about tire size for off-roading and stuff, but that is a good place to be. And a 285 section width is a really good tire for distributing the load on the ground. Works well in the snow, works well off-road. And it works pretty well in mud up until a point. And then obviously that point is where 12.5s and 13.5s come in. But anyway, you definitely need to match the width of your tread section to your wheel that you've selected or your factory wheels. Try not to get too carried away either way. And in the same way, if you're going to go aftermarket wheels, I highly recommend not screwing around with either low profile setups like 22s with 35s or worse 33s. 20s, getting around that 35, this is like a 34.5-inch tire. There's not a lot of sidewall there. So this is kind of the minimum amount of sidewall that I'd recommend for most situations. You're getting to the point of being on the edge for sidewall damage and pinch flats and things like that and wheel damage. If you were to smoke something off really hard, especially when you're aired down, you just don't have a lot of sidewall to work with here. So I would recommend, being in the 18s or 17s or 16s if you're going to be in the 33-inch diameter tire area. The thing is, too, going with too wide of a wheel is going to totally screw up your contact patch. Is going to totally mess up how much you can air down safely without debeating the tire. It's probably going to cause some issues with handling and popping the bead off the tire, as I just said. The other thing is offset. So factory tires tend to keep the tires tucked within the side of the truck. You should ask yourself, does your vehicle have enough track width for what you're trying to do? If you're trying to crawl on really, really steep hills and things like that, or if you're trying to also corner really fast, you definitely want to have some more offset. Now, these, I believe, are plus 40s. There's something like that. They might be, I know Tremors are plus 40s. These may be plus 45. And that's in millimeter. You can get out to about plus 12 before you're going to start shoving the tire very much outside of the edge of the body. Zero offset's going to get out a pretty good ways. Be careful with that because it's going to change the way the tire fits when you steer. It's going to impact how big a tire you can run and not rub. If you go out too far, you'll hit the body. If you're in too far, you're going to hit the radius arm and the sway bar. So it's a balancing act. Getting the right wheel and tire package is a balancing act of clearance. You could have somebody that could run 35s on a setup with one wheel, and then you just change the wheel offset, and suddenly you're hitting, or change the wheel width. You could have two setups. One works good, one does not. So be careful with that. The biggest thing, too, is you want to identify what are you trying to accomplish. There's a reason why I've kept my truck basically stock. I tow a lot with this. I tow up to 17,000 pounds. Most frequently, I tow 14,000 to 10,000 pounds. I tow a lot. And it is not that you can't tow with a lift kit. It is not that you can't tow with suspension that's optimized for off-road. You could add airbags, which would arguably make the truck sit flatter than it does when I tow in this stock condition. The thing is that I'm not trying to have any taller of a truck to put tools in my toolbox or to put things in the bed of my truck. I'm not trying to have any higher of a hitch height. I don't need any higher of a truck because I'm fitting the tires that I want to fit. So it's a balancing act of how big a tire do you think you need to have. 35s are an excellent point of reference to say I have 35s or approximately 35s, 34.5, whatever. It is the potential with a good driver and picking good lines of being an incredible truck off-road. In the same way, it is highly likely to be controllable on-road, tow very well, not overload the brakes. Once you break into 37s, you're getting to a much, much heavier tire, and it can drastically work against you in terms of your performance. One issue that there is with HT trucks in general, you need to have up travel as well as down travel. Down travel is extremely important, and it's why GMI FS rides so poorly when you level it. When you level it, you basically have no down travel, and the front, the tires will just float over top of bumps. They don't fall into bumps. You need the tire to fall into the bump and then have the shock control it on the way back up. And that allows you to keep contact between the tread and the ground. When you lose contact between the tread and the ground, your tire's floating, you're not having any traction, you have no lateral or braking stability, you're in trouble. In the same way or in a similar way, these trucks, because they're trying to have huge frames, I mean, look how big the frame is on this thing. HT trucks have big frames. You're trying to package the frame height. You can see how close the axle is. Pretty darn close. About 6.5 inches, 7 inches between the bottom of the frame and the top of the axle if you ignore the bump stop. There's not a lot of room in here. So it is important to lift these trucks for maximum performance off-road. That's why a 2-inch or 2.5-inch lift is kind of the standard with high performance suspension systems for these trucks. The problem is if you go up 2 inches and you don't go up 2 inches in the back, now you're squatting big time with the trailer. So again, going back to the original issue, what are you trying to do with your truck? If you want to buy an HC truck, you have great axles, you have tons of room on the inside, you got tons of room for tons of payload to bring along if you're overlanding or whatever, or bring a Harley in the bed or things like that. You're never going to break the frame, strong transfer case, good cooling. Those are all things, attributes of HC trucks that are phenomenal. You have all those things. And if you want to tow too, and you want to tow heavy stuff, you got to be careful that you don't compromise the truck's original design characteristics. The cooling system, the brake system, the transmission, the transfer case, the U-joints, the axles, all that good stuff. If you put giant tires on in a big lift, you're going to start having a whole lot of wind and a whole lot of rotating mass to deal with, which means your brakes have a lot to stop. Your engine has a lot to push, and then you put a bunch of weight behind the truck and you wonder why you're having transmission failures or engine oil is getting too hot. These need to be treated as systems. The entire thing is one giant system, and we're trying to have everything try to achieve a common goal. It's very difficult and requires a lot of money to have something that performs extremely well off-road and tows well and is reliable. That trifecta of performances is where the money is. So if you're trying to do that, you definitely want to have so back up a second. Your spring rate is relevant to whatever the condition is that you want to off-road with for best performance off-road. If you have a like a chase truck, like a tool truck, and it's rolling at 9,500 pounds, and you're going to optimize that suspension for the 9,500 pounds that the truck is. This truck weighs about 600 pounds with me in it. So a lot lighter than a truck that has a full tool bed in the back and a bunch of tools and a jack and a welder and all kinds of stuff. This suspension, as it came, was optimized for the truck's maximum configuration, which is about 11,499 pounds is what this truck's GVWR is, which is found in the door sticker and the driver door right there. If you're not going to be operating at that level, then that's where you start saying, do I downspring the truck to gain better performance and articulation off-road and more suspension compliance so that you can go over little rumble bumps quickly? So let's just say you took this truck and you went across my field at Mach 10. You're going to reach a point where the suspension gets out of control and the shocks are no longer able to control it. The springs are not able to keep the axles on the ground. It's going to get out of whack. And you're not going to have the tires contacting the ground. And then let's just say you have a buddy roll up in a Ford Raptor and he zings right across the field and he's totally planted, good to go. He can steer while he's doing 55 across the field. If you want to reach that level of performance, then you need to make sure that you optimize the truck within that constraint. And one of the things that can really hurt you is going with too big a tire. And that's one of the things I want to advocate very seriously about, is be so careful to not over tire these trucks or any trucks. Tires weigh a lot. They become an issue for the shocks and the springs to control. They are unsprung weight, so they negatively impact the ride and handling of the truck. It becomes more for the driveline to turn, more for the transmission to handle, more for the engine to handle. Put the minimum tire that you need to have on your vehicle. Now, all this goes out the window if you're trying to build a show truck and you just want it to look a certain way. That is a whole different world that I'm not a part of. I am 100% on this channel about fit, function, performance. I don't care about show. This thing could be called the Pink Pony Club and be painted rainbows for all I care if it performs well. I don't care about looks. I don't care about any of that. So I'm not here optimizing for looks or for the stigma of I have 24s and whatever. I'm all about performance in general. So when I advocate things on this channel, make sure you understand that I'm coming at it from a practical perspective, of a performance perspective. I have no interest in whatever the latest styles, and frankly, I don't know what the latest styles are these days. I am so far, I am the boomer of my generation. I am so behind, it's ridiculous. I don't even know what's going on in this world these days. Tires, 35s are incredibly good for a on-road and then a good performance off-road truck. You could still tow huge. You could still put a big fifth wheel behind here, a big gooseneck. As you can see, the truck is just, it's just trimmed perfectly. It looks good, fits in the wheel wells well. You're not gonna be stuffing tires into your body. This is a good setup, and I highly recommend this unless you are doing some pretty hardcore off-roading. That's where going up into 37s and considering a little bit more width, you get that track width from the offset of the wheel. Be very careful because the offset of that wheel, especially on these Super Duties and my 2019 specifically, it was really hard on the tie rods to run zero offset with 35 12.5 mud tires. I went through several sets of tie rods on that truck because the added track width was pushing a lot harder onto the steering system. So keep that. That's an example of a small part that can make or break your setup. They do make, I think it's called Apex. They have, I don't know anything about them, no affiliation, nothing. I don't know if they're any good, so don't buy anything off my recommendation. I know that they make a whole brand new steering setup for these trucks. I don't know if they're any good. It is something that, I'm not going to call it a weak link, but when you go put really big tires on and really push these trucks hard, I do know that the steering linkage needs to be addressed. Whatever vehicle you choose to buy, make sure that you fully understand by reading forums, by getting different information from different people, watch a bunch of different YouTube videos, check out the groups. There's like the one of the groups I'm in, the Dodge Extreme group. There's a lot of guys with some highly modified Cummins trucks, Hemi trucks, things like that. That is a great source for Dodge. There's definitely some Carly groups that are really good for Ford. Make sure you get that information right from people and make sure that you're getting your combination together where you're going to achieve your goals. You can definitely have a truck that's lifted on 37s, that's towing a big trailer or a gooseneck with a crawler on it or something like that. You can do some awesome things with these trucks and then go wheel them in general too. Just make sure that you're doing it as a whole package. Make sure you get the gears up front because I'm telling you right now that I'm told by a friend that a Ford dealer said that they would change his gears to 430s on a truck that he was looking at buying from 373s. He's my best friend, and I trust him implicitly. The thing is that I find it for other people, it's because he knows the owner of the dealership, why that might even be a thing. I highly doubt you're going to talk a dealer into changing your gear set for you on these new axles, if they can even get parts, because right now you really can't get parts for the M275 and the Sterling 11.6. Keep that in mind. In 2023, this is a whole new axle platform, so it's going to be a little while till we have parts. I hope we have a good selection of parts, and I feel like because of how good this truck looks, and because how easy it is to modify this with, say, a Carly kit, and make it do some pretty impressive things. I think that the potential is there that this truck's going to have really good aftermarket support. Go into it knowing right now that you don't have that great of aftermarket support. Besides wheels, tires, lift kit, there's not a lot out there. It's you can't really tune them right now, so you can't change. As far as I know, you can't change tire size, and I don't know anything about Forscan, so I need to be careful here. Maybe you can change PSI limit for your monitors and also your tire size in the ECU. I don't know that for sure because I don't know anything about Forscan. Supposedly 23 and up is different. If anybody knows anything about that, let me know. I'd be curious about that. So just make sure you keep this all as a holistic design platform of, well, I guess that's not really very well said. Consider it as an entire system, and you don't want to have one part of the system fail you, as in it be unhinged. You definitely don't want to have, stick 40s on here. They might clear, but you're not going to have any up travel. And you're going to have, with 373 gears, for instance, your engine and your transmission, TKs, you're going to be working all really hard to try and turn those tires. It's just going to be a poor combination for you. So make sure that when you're doing these things, you take everything into account and do things together. When you do that lift, make sure you have your adjustable track bar, your radius arm drops to make sure you get the caster back in line. Ideally, if you're going to go up to 37s or something like that, start off with a 430 gear truck, I would recommend, as opposed to starting out with 373. Not that you can't do it, but it would sure make a big difference. And because we can't get 456 or 488s, we're kind of, the best bet right now is to do the 430s out of the gate. So hopefully that, started to answer a little bit of questions. The reason why I kept this truck stock, maybe I started with this, I can't remember, is that I do tow with it often. I would really like to at some point have a designated tow rig so that this truck could become a little bit more modified, the way that I kind of envision it, on like a really nice Carly kit, and some nice armor underneath and things like that, and eventually front locker. Be really cool to go do some wheeling in this truck. But for right now, this is my work truck, and it's going to stay like that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Take care all, and have a great day.